Hi, my name is Carl and welcome back to Hook Eat Up. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everybody who supported my very first video, all my friends, their positive feedback, and the subscriptions. If it's your first time coming to Hook It Up, please subscribe and make sure you comment below because I want to hear what you think about my videos or where you feel I should go. Today's dish is one of my all-time favorites, beef short ribs. Now this is a braised dish, so it makes the ribs nice and tender. And what people tend to neglect is that beef short ribs are probably the most flavorful cuts that you can get. We're gonna make it today, and I hope you enjoy. To make the beef short ribs, you're gonna need a few ingredients. You're gonna need a bottle of a full-bodied red wine, something like a Cabernet or Zinfandel, or you can even go with a Merlot if you'd like. 2.5 pounds of beef short ribs, 6 or 7 peeled shallots, about small to medium size, nothing too large. 2 cups of chicken stock or beef stock or even vegetable stock if you'd like. I'm using chicken stock for today. A handful of grape tomatoes and 2 tablespoons of the Carl Pierre spice blend. It's really the base of a Haitian épice, and you can see how to make it in another video. So let's get started. Preheat the oven to about 375 degrees. Perfect for the braising. I gotta get my pot that I'm gonna be doing my braising in. Now, for my braising pot, just using a high pot that's oven rated, and it works just fine. I'm gonna put this to a high heat, and I'm gonna add just a touch of olive oil to the pot, because for the short ribs, they're pretty fatty, and they'll produce enough of their own oil to lubricate the bottom of the pan. So what I'm gonna do is salt and pepper the beef short ribs, so when I'm browning them, they form an excellent crust. Now you wanna be pretty liberal with the salt and pepper. Now what you're gonna wanna do to brown the short ribs is you're gonna wanna get them in when the pan is nice and hot, so it sears the edges to a crisp golden brown. Now you wanna do it meat side down. You hear that? So you know it's nice and hot. And do about 3 ribs at a time. We don't want the ribs boiling and the pot losing its heat. We want everything to get brown and seared in. By searing the short ribs, what you're actually doing is you're locking in the moisture. You're gonna be braising this over high heat for a pretty long time, and we don't want the outside to get all soggy. It helps to seal it up, keep the flavors in, and get the right texture for the meat that we're looking for. Let's take a look at this. Oh yeah, that's what we're looking for. You can see that it's a little more even, nice and brown. We're gonna turn it on to its side. Right now, we're pretty much all sealed in. So I'll set this oil off to the side. So here's how the short ribs look right before you start to braise them. My next step is to prepare the braising solution, making sure it's properly flavored, get the temperature up, and get it into the oven. So I'm gonna drop just a touch of the olive oil in here. Next, see a piece? I don't want that to burn, so I'm gonna try to move with it pretty quick. Drop the wine in, about 10 ounces worth. So what we're doing here is heating the wine. You have to remember that alcohol evaporates faster than water does. So as it's on the heat, all the alcohol gets pushed out, and we get left with all the rich flavor from the wine. Now we have the right consistency to add this here. So what we're aiming for is to have the solution set up right above the ribs. So we bring it to a boil, place the ribs in, cover it up, pop it into the oven, and let the oven do the work. Now you're gonna wanna add about 2 teaspoons of the tomato paste. I'm gonna stir that in. So I'm gonna add the short ribs to the solution. The meat side down, so that the meat side stays in the solution as it's braising. Now that the braising solution is at the temperature that I want it to be, I'm gonna add it to the oven at 365 degrees for 2.5 to 3 hours. Okay, so it's been about 2 hours, so it's time to add the shallots and the tomatoes, and we only have about 30 minutes to go. With 30 minutes to go on the braised short ribs, you're gonna wanna get started on your mashed potatoes. For the mashed potatoes, you're gonna need 4 russet potatoes cut into quarters, 4 tablespoons of butter, 4 ounces of half and half, 1 scallion diced, and 1 teaspoon of the épices. So we're gonna get started on the mashed potatoes. What I want is a medium saucepan. I'm gonna put that on high heat. And we're gonna salt this so that it tastes like ocean water. One cool trick for cooking your mashed potatoes is to add the potatoes to the water as the water is coming to a boil. This ensures that the potatoes cook consistently throughout. As the potatoes are cooking, I'm gonna get started on the braised short ribs, separating them from the sauce, and preparing the final sauce for finishing. Oh yeah, baby. As you can see, these ribs are falling off the bone and super tender. We're gonna separate them from the braising liquid so we can make a finished salt. When lifting these out of the braising solution, you wanna make sure that they don't just fall apart on you. They're that soft. And now in a separate bowl, I'm gonna sort out the shallots and the tomatoes. The shallots and tomatoes are gonna be used for a final garnish while we're plating the dish. In preparing the finished sauce, I'm gonna wanna skim off all that extra fat and discard it. We don't want that being in the final dish because it's gonna make everything taste really greasy. Not what we're going for. To make the finishing sauce, I'm gonna add just a touch of red wine, just a little bit of the épices, about 1 sprig of thyme, and we're gonna reduce this down. With the sauce reduced in half, I'm gonna add a tablespoon of butter, stir that in. We're gonna let that go for about a minute longer, and then we can return the short ribs to the bowl, just so they get coated in the sauce and hold their temperature. Now we're just checking to see if the potatoes are all fork tender, which they seem to be, and that signals that we're done. You have to just drain these potatoes out. In the same saucepan, I'm gonna be combining the ingredients that are necessary to make the mashed potatoes. First thing in is the butter. Follow that up with the épices and the scallions. What this is gonna do is gonna release the flavors of the onions or the scallions and everything that's in the épices right into the butter. Then I'm gonna add the 4 ounces of half and half, rolling boil. In goes the salt and pepper. Now I'm dropping the heat, just so I don't overcook that half and half. Back into the saucepan comes the potatoes. We're gonna add half of the potatoes. We'll smash this out. Just a coarse smash. You don't want to work your potatoes too much because then they become pasty and gluey and nobody likes that. And now the rest of the potatoes come in. Now you can mash it to whatever consistency you like. I like my mashed potatoes kind of lumpy. I'm gonna take a taste of that. Okay, I'm gonna cut the heat and we're all set to plate. For this dish, I'm using a round plate. First thing I want to get down is my scallion mashed. Put that right in the center. Then I'm going to grab my short ribs here that are ready in the sauce. I'm going to grab some meaty ones. Kind of just lay it across the top here. Tomatoes for color. Have another shallot. And some tomatoes to the other side here, just so the plate is balanced. And stir up the sauce here. Drizzle that. And for the final touch, some chopped parsley to add a little color. When it comes time to deciding what you're going to drink with this dish, I suggest that you go back to the very same bottle that you used for making the braising solution. It's going to help tie in all the flavors, and a deep red always pairs well with dark red meat. And there you have it, braised short ribs with mashed potatoes in a red wine sauce.